Since getting the Leica M10 Monochrome, I've made it a point of trying to practice my photography eye and getting it more and more in tune for black and white photography. And in today's video, I wanted to share a couple of pictures, first and foremost, but also give you some tips on how to improve black and white photography and get your mindset just right to grab those monochrome images. The first subject that I really like for black and white photography is architecture. Looking at buildings, at constructions with this monochrome eye is really fun to do, in my opinion. And I even did a couple of outings specifically for that purpose. One of the trips that I made recently to the Belgian coast was entirely focused on this concrete structure on the beach. It's basically an infinite loop as a staircase, and it was a really fun way to explore the area, get some type of establishing shot, and then afterwards really look with a keen eye at the structure itself and try to find some small compositions that really work for black and white. Really trying to focus on geometric shapes, on how the light plays, light and shadow, and making sure that apart from getting the entire picture or the entire structure in frame, also looking at small details and trying to get these little slices of the construction itself and trying to tailor it for black and white photography. Also, when trying to photograph architecture in black and white, what I really like to do is look for contrast and looking for some type of repetition, or when I really want to focus on one particular aspect of it and make sure that no distractions from color are introduced in the image. Take, for example, this image where you have a vintage building which is sandwiched in between more modern buildings. In my opinion, if I would have added color to this image, it would have taken a little bit away of the message that I tried to convey here. This is basically my first tip. Go at a landmark or a very nice architectural building and try to look at it with a black and white eye. Another very cool subject for black and white photography is night photography, in my opinion, especially with the Leica M10 Monochrome and its super high ISO capabilities. It's super fun to take out your camera at night and try to find some nice compositions with artificial light. To illustrate what I recently did is I went to a light show in one of the local parks. There were a couple of art installations in the park itself that lent themselves very nicely to black and white photography. Most notably, there was at some point a very bright beam, which was really cool to look at, but especially cool if you shot into the light. So really trying to frame a couple of backlit subjects, and it gave this very eerie vibe, but in my opinion, very cool, high contrast, and definitely a very, very fun thing to do. Number 3 might be an obvious one, but try to bring your camera with you as much as possible, and especially if you're going to capture these small moments of everyday life, the funny things, the quirky things. I think those are ideal candidates for black and white photography. You can really laser focus on which story you want to tell with your photograph. And then sometimes the stars align for black and white photography. Like in this final image that I want to share, I saw the scene from afar. I was driving my bike, and on the canal I saw a white swan which was swimming into open water, but I saw that we had to pass a bridge. And I knew in my mind that in an ideal situation, I wanted to frame the swan in the dark shadow of that the bridge is casting on the water itself. So I tried to get there as quickly as possible, and sometimes you're just lucky, like with this shot, where I was able to frame the swan exactly as I wanted. I had to increase a little bit the contrast in post-processing, but to me this was a moment totally unexpected, so nothing pre-planned. It's just something that I saw, and with all the practice of before I was able to capture. And personally, it's my favorite image of this set, just because of the fact that it's so unexpected and, in my opinion, works very nicely for black and white because the contrast is just gorgeous. Really curious to see if you feel the same. So this is basically it for today's video. I hope you got something out of it and found some inspiration for your next outing, really focused on black and white photography. So without further ado, happy shooting and see you in the next one.